Welcome back to the Deep Dig. We are still going through Matthew, and we're at the point where Jesus is being baptized by John. And as he comes out of the water, it says that the Spirit of God descends on him like a dove. So I want to do a deep dig on doves and the significance of doves, why they're referenced so much, and how they relate to Jesus. And I'm not sure if this happens anywhere else in the Bible, but what I like about this moment, or what I've noticed about this moment, is that the Holy Trinity is here in one place. Because it says that Jesus is there, he's being baptized, and it says God's Spirit is coming down on him, so the Spirit is there, and then there's a voice from heaven that says, "This is my Son whom I love, and I am very pleased with him." So I just thought that was an interesting fact about that verse. Back to the dove though. Why was the dove used in this verse? Because it wasn't a real dove. It said God's Spirit came down on him like a dove. So what does like a dove mean? Does it mean like actually kind of looked like a dove coming down to land on Jesus? Or was it what the dove represented, which is innocence, love, peace? Why was the dove used in this verse? So through my research, I found that doves were used as a sacrifice for sin. If you couldn't afford a lamb or a ram, doves were considered clean by Mosaic law. These are the standards for birds in the Mosaic law that determine if they are clean or not. The reason the dove is a symbol of love and peace is because Noah released a dove and it returned with an olive tree branch in its beak, which was proof that there was land and the water was receding. The word for dove in Hebrew is Jonah. And Jonah is the same as Jonah from the Bible because there are no J's in the Hebrew alphabet. So Jonah would be Jonah, which is the same as dove. So far we have the dove came down on Jesus that was used in sacrifices, or was used as a sacrifice for our sins, whose name in Hebrew is Jonah, the same as Jonah. And the story of Jonah is about a man who was swallowed by a fish for 3 days and 3 nights, and God had told him to go to the people of Nineveh because they were living in sin. He went and he preached the word, and they turned their lives around, and they didn't face the wrath of God because of that. This next verse is what really kind of blew my mind concerning the dove and Jesus. John 2:15 says, "So he made a whip out of cords and drove all from the temple courts, both sheep and cattle. He scattered the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. To those who sold doves, he said, 'Get these out of here. Stop turning my father's house into a market.'" I've always known about these verses, but I never put them together. And I'm not sure if you can see where I'm going with all this, but the dove is Jesus. They were being sold, just like Jesus was sold by Judas to the Pharisees, so that they could arrest him. The doves were being sold as a sacrifice for people's sins, just like Jesus died on the cross for our sins. And I never put those things together. So we got the dove coming down on Judas, which is the dove in Hebrew is Jonah, same as Jonah, which is a story about a man who basically died 3 days, 3 nights, like Jesus, rose again out of the fish or out of the tomb, And then he went to Nineveh to spread the good news, to change the people's hearts. And they turned away from their sin, just like Jesus' disciples did after he was crucified. So the dove represents peace and love, which is Jesus. And you know what's funny is when the earth was flooded and it came out of the water, when the water's receding, the first thing that happened was a dove descended down upon Noah. In the same way, when Jesus came out of the water, the dove, or God's Spirit was like a dove, came down on him. Well, I hope you enjoyed this deep dig into doves. I'm not sure if you learned anything, but maybe I helped you put a couple things together that you may not have thought about before. And thanks for listening.